I think we may have just witnessed one of the most embarrassing leaked group chats of all time, because it freaking belongs to the Vice President of the United States and his top officials. And they were chopping it up about bombing another country and talking shit about Europe.
I'm back, it's FTTE, and today we're going to be taking a look at these creepy TikTok videos. I was just in Miami last week. I made a vlog for it. If you guys want to check out the vlog, check out my second channel. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers over there. So if you guys are from this channel, you subscribe and comment on the Miami vlog video, I will give you guys a video shout out. So make sure you guys go check that video out. Our like goal for this video is 2,000. Today's riddle is, a rooster is sitting on a roof facing west. If it laid an egg, would the egg roll north or would the egg roll south? If you know the answer, put it in the comments, and as y'all know, if you get it right, you will also get a video shout out. As y'all know, these videos do get crazy, so watch at your own risk and remember to subscribe.
When a prisoner was sentenced to death, a group of scientists saw an opportunity for a shocking experiment. They wanted to test just how powerful the human mind is. The prisoner was told his execution method had changed. Instead of being hanged, he would die from a deadly king cobra bite. He was strapped to a chair, shown the snake, and was immediately blindfolded, anxious for his fate. He felt the sharp bite, and within minutes, he was dead. But the snake never bit him. The scientists had only pricked his skin with 2 needles, mimicking a real bite. Yet, when doctors examined his body, they found the same toxic substances found in snakebite victims. The mystery of how powerful the placebo effect is, why.
What would happen if all men on Earth disappeared? Part 3. Sure, the group chats would be quieter, but society, not so much. First, say goodbye to planes in the sky. Around 95% of air traffic controllers are men. Without them, airports turn into chaos, and every flight becomes a coin toss. Then there's sewage. Not glamorous, but kind of important. Most sewer system operators and waste treatment workers are men. So yeah, enjoy your new indoor swimming pool. It smells like regret. Want to escape the smell? Not so fast. Most ship captains, port workers, and cargo handlers are men. That means no imports, no exports, and no more avocado toast from Peru. Craving clean clothes? Most industrial laundry machine techs are men. So unless you're ready to wash everything by hand in a bucket, fashion takes a massive. You think elevators were bad? Try escalators. Yep, mostly maintained by men too. So malls just became stair-based CrossFit gyms. Oh, and if something explodes? 98% of bomb disposal experts are men. So when your neighbor finds a suspicious package, don't look at it. And definitely don't touch it. Even cemeteries take a hit. Gravediggers, crematory operators, all mostly men. So yeah, death doesn't stop, but burials might. Send this to your female friends.
Donald Trump has just said that he is serious about remaining president of the United States for the next 8 years. Not 4. In an interview with NBC this weekend, he said that he is not joking about running for a 3rd term, and that there are methods to go around the Constitution which currently prohibits more than 2 terms. He agreed with the interviewer that one method would be that JD Vance run as president, with Trump as the vice president, and then if JD Vance wins, he would just pass the presidency over to Trump. He also said though that there are other ways to do it too, but then when asked if you would like to elaborate, he just said no. He said that a lot of people want him to stay on for 8 more years, but he thinks it's far too early to even think about it. He would also be 87 at the end of his 3rd term. So the question is, should Trump remain president until 2033 or not?
I'm pretty sure they said one loophole to stay president is to start a war. So if he goes with that loophole, that would be crazy.
Gary Unexplained Mysteries Part 2. Let's go. It had been over a month since Pauline Picard was reunited with her family, and everything was peaceful, until something horrifying was found that reopened the whole entire case. A man who was biking near the Picard household came across what appeared to be the dead corpse of a child, along with the skull of an adult man. And worst of all, the clothes that Pauline Picard was wearing the day she disappeared were found folded neatly next to the dead bodies. This sent the village into yet another panic, and it caused the Picard family to wonder if the girl they had living with them was even their daughter. The family eventually concluded that the girl that was living with them was not their daughter, and they returned her back to where she came from. Not knowing where else their daughter could be, the Picard family eventually accepted that the body found near their house most likely belonged to Pauline. Authorities have never been able to track down the murderer, and to this day, nobody knows for sure who the body and the skull in the meadow belongs to. Maybe she's still out there.
Here are 4 signs that you could be a psychopath. Number 1, you get bored easily. You always need a sense of excitement in your life, and you get this by taking extreme risks or even playing with other people's minds. Number 2, you're more rational than others. As long as you're not bored, you don't really care about negative emotions such as grief or anxiety. This allows you to stay calm in a crisis, and even when your own life is in danger. Number 3, you lie a ton and you don't know why. You lie even when there's nothing to gain from lying. Sometimes you lie just because of the pleasure that you derive from doing so. 4, you never own up to your actions. Even when you know it's your fault, you still decide to blame it on others. And despite this, you never feel guilt.
Weird human body facts that I can guarantee you didn't know. When a baby is born, its blood volume can actually fit inside of a can of soda. When you blush, the lining of your stomach also blushes. And that's kind of weird, but it's even more weird to think about, like, how the f*** do we know that? 1 out of 5,000 children are born without an asshole, and the doctors have to create one for them. And it's a really weird birth defect to have because we literally start out as assholes.
Dark things Disney doesn't want you to know, part 3. So today I'm going to be talking about the mysterious case of Deborah Gale Stone, aka Debbie Stone. Debbie Stone was an 18-year-old hostess at Disney. She was a hostess for the ride America Sings, which was a musical performance. This was a new attraction, and basically you'd be sitting in a theater facing the stage, and after every act, the theater would rotate. In 1974, during the last performance of the night, Debbie got caught between the rotating wall and the stationary stage wall. She was instantly crushed to death. The scary part is that the audience heard her screams but thought that it was part of the show. Now, the big mystery is, how did she get caught in the first place? Some say that she fell between the two walls, others say that she was trying to jump from one stage to another and then got caught, and other people think that she was pushed. On that day, Debbie had just gotten engaged and was super excited and was showing all her coworkers her ring. Apparently one of them was really jealous. But to this day, we sadly still don't know what truly happened to Debbie. Make sure to like for part 4.
An explosion rocked the campus in Lubbock, Texas. Fire and smoke erupting from underground. Students rushed to safety as power outages spread across campus. Firefighters flooded the scene, battling blazing manholes as officials scrambled to contain the crisis. Texas Tech shut down the school for the rest of the week, urging students to go home early for spring break. The cause still unknown. But with the entire campus losing power, the investigation is just beginning.
Sources are now saying that Hugh Jackman will also be deposed for the Blake Lively-Justin Baldoni case if it goes to trial. So reportedly, Justin Baldoni's legal team wants to get the full scope of Ryan Reynolds' conduct during the time that It Ends With Us was filming. And part of that will be deposing Hugh Jackman, Ryan Reynolds' co-star in Deadpool and Wolverine, and a friend of Blake Lively and Reynolds. Said Hugh will be deposed if this goes to trial. There's no way that he cannot. The source also pointed out how Hugh Jackman helped promote It Ends With Us in, quote, the same way that Taylor did when they did their group shoot for the cross promo with Deadpool. The source said the timing of the premieres is also no coincidence. Honestly, it would not be surprising if Hugh Jackman is deposed because Deadpool and Wolverine was filming around the same time as It Ends With Us, and so Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman were spending a lot of time together, and likely with Blake Lively as well. So if he has any information that could help Justin Baldoni's team, they will utilize that. Again, none of this is happening anytime soon. Depositions are part of the process before a trial. So if the trial does happen in 2026, as it is currently set to, then depositions will be happening, and Hugh Jackman and Taylor Swift could be some of those deposed.
Disturbing facts that will ruin your life. When whales reach a certain age, they will eventually be too weak to swim back to the surface for air, so they will just suffocate to death and eventually sink to the bottom of the ocean. When you die, you will be aware that you are dead until the moment your brain fully ceases function. When getting laser eye surgery, you can smell the parts of your eyes being shaved down. During the French Revolution, where the guillotine was introduced, the people to be executed fought to be first, as the blade would dull after multiple uses, and wouldn't cut a head clean off at the first attempt. If you're male, after you die, your loved ones can have a doctor electrocute your prostate to force you to ejaculate for sperm. Humans have enough bite power to bite off their own finger, bone and all. The only thing stopping us is our brain's natural safety factor. A deceased human body can take between 24 to 48 hours to decompress, releasing the remaining blood, urine, and fecal matter, depending on the situation, position, and method of death. If you die on a submarine, they put your body in the fridge with all the food. If not, up a torpedo tube. It's actually common that corpses will periodically burp, fart, gasp, groan as gases escape through the mouth and anus. When you get burned by electricity, it actually leaves marks shaped like lightning on your skin. Hit the plus sign if you want to learn more facts.
Dangerous things scientists did to themselves. Henry Smolinski was tired of working his job as an engineer, so he decided to quit and pursue his dream, which was to make the world's first flying car available for anyone in the world to purchase. His plan was to take a Ford Petna and put it together with the tail and wings of a Cessna Skymaster plane. After a bunch of successful test flights, the public launch was only a few months away. But one day, when Henry and his co-founder was doing further testing, they came crashing down. Due to bad welds and bad locking mechanisms, the wings failed and they crashed. Unfortunately, everyone in the flying car passed away.
Which of these facts is the hardest to believe? According to statistics, lightning strikes men 7 more times than women. About 50% of the people in the world have never had a phone conversation. Just 1 drop of liquor can make a scorpion stab itself to death. A shark can detect 1 drop of blood from 100 million drops of water. Astronauts are forbidden from eating beans before going into space. If the sun exploded right now, we would not know for another 8 minutes. Who came first, the chicken or the egg? Check the comment section for the answer. For more.
They say that about astronauts because apparently, like, you know how beans make you really gassy? Apparently that can cause air quality problems and uncomfortability in the aircraft. So that's why they're advised not to eat beans, which is actually kind of funny.
You were today years old when you found this shit out. I'm so sorry. Research shows that redheads are actually less sensitive to anesthesia, making them most likely to wake up during surgery. I've never been happier to be blonde. I'm so glad I don't eat pistachios, and here's why. Have you ever eaten one and thinking, that one tasted a little strange? Chances are that's probably because the navel orange worm was inside of it. The chances of worms being inside pistachios are higher than you think.
Dude, I've definitely eaten pistachios and had one taste a little bit weird, and I was like, why does it taste weird? Tell me you guys have never experienced that before.
This is the scary truth about iPhones. iPhones actually listen to everything that you say, and it's pretty creepy. This is why if you're ever talking about something with your friends, then suddenly whatever you were talking about comes up on your timeline hours later, well, that's because your iPhone is listening to you. Next, your iPhone tracks you everywhere you go. This is how the iPhone knows how long it takes to get to places from where you are. If you want proof, go to your settings and then hit privacy, then click location services at the top, and it will most likely say on. It's pretty creepy that they can hear and track everything we do, and I mean everything, because who doesn't have their phone on them nowadays?
I mean, isn't it obvious that they track us? Like, if you put in a GPS on your phone, like, obviously it knows your location. I feel like the second one was obvious. The first one, a lot of people are on the fence about.
Yo, what's up? Here's some scary facts about our world that you probably didn't want to know. Part 44. There is a type of shark species known as the Greenland shark that can live upwards of 200 years. One, because it is adapted to the cold water in the Arctic Ocean, and the second reason is because it'll eat anything that falls in the water. That means polar bears, penguins, and anything up above. If you were to travel to space in a spaceship, traveling the speed of light, let's say at age 15, when you came back 5 years later, you would be 20, but all of your friends, well, they'd be 65. There is a condition known as the Cotard syndrome, otherwise known as the walking corpse syndrome, in which people suffer from believing that they have never existed and that they have been dead this whole time. If you go to a Catholic priest and tell him that you murdered somebody, they can't say a word because of Catholic law, and they will keep your secret. Please don't get any ideas.
I want to tell you an emotional story, a real, authentic one. Hundreds of years ago, in an era when the Middle East was ruled by powerful kingdoms, there lived a mighty king. But despite his strength, he had a weakness, his temper. Every night, the king was haunted by the same nightmare. He would dream of losing all his teeth at once. The moment he wakes up, he rushes to check his jaw and see if his teeth are there. Night after night, the same terrifying vision tormented this king. He was desperate for answers, so he summoned the kingdom's finest dream interpreters, maesters in this field. The first interpreter arrives, and the king tells him, "O wise one, every night in my sleep I dream of losing all my teeth. What does it mean?" The interpreter hesitated and says, "My lord, this is a bad dream. It means that you will lose all your loved ones." The king's face twisted with anger. "Woe to you! Seize him and lock him away." A second dream interpreter was brought in, and the king repeated his question. The interpreter said, "My lord, I regret to say you will witness the death of all your family members." The king raged once more. "Seize him," he roared. Then the third interpreter was brought in. "O wise one, I dream every night of something horrible. I dream of losing all my teeth at once. What does this dream mean?" the king asks. The interpreter smiles and spoke with confidence. "Rejoice, my king, for you have been blessed with a long life. You will live the longest from all your family members." The king's eyes brightened, and he rewarded the man with gold. Yet, all three interpreters said the same thing. The same thing. The meaning never changed, only the way it was said. This teaches us a very important lesson. It's not about what you say, but how you say it.
Yeah, pretty much. He's not lying, because that's crazy. I was like, bro, he literally said the same thing as like the other two dudes. That's very funny.
Tall Hat Man is this entity that people often say that they see at night in their room, and they say he often resembles Abraham Lincoln. And I have heard hundreds of reports and cases of people seeing this person that they describe looking like Abraham Lincoln with a large top hat. Now, my uncle, when he was a young boy, he said he was in his room one night, and he said he woke up to like a breeze blowing in to his room, which he thought was weird because he always like kept his window closed. When he looks over at his window, he said like the curtains were kind of blowing. He looked back the other way, and then when he looked back at the window again, he said there was a tall man standing next to the window. And he said he looked just like Abraham Lincoln, except this man was actually standing through his desk. And he said this man just stared at him, and he got this big grin on his face. My uncle was like so terrified he threw the covers over his head, and then he woke up the next day, he was gone. And still to this day, he does not know who that was that he saw. This next story comes out of Virginia. There was this woman. She said that she had went to her grandmother's house when she was younger to stay for a couple weeks. And she said when she would go to her grandma's, she didn't have an extra bedroom, so she would have to sleep out on the couch. So that night, she said, you know, she got ready to go to bed, and like she, you know, went and laid down on the couch, and she said all of a sudden she was awoken to the sound of her grandma talking in her sleep from her bedroom. And she said she goes to her bedroom and she hears her grandma saying, "He's coming, he's coming. No, 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 he's coming." And she is like, "Grandma, you okay? Grandma, you okay?" Her grandma, you know, was just sleeping. So she's like, you know, she must be having a bad dream or whatever. She goes back to her couch, she lays down, and she said, you know, she finally fell asleep. Well, she has this dream. And she says in this dream, she is outside of the house, which happens to be near the woods. And she starts walking through the woods. And she says as she's walking through the woods, she keeps hearing someone chanting, "He's coming, he's coming." And she said it just kept getting louder and louder. And she said all of a sudden she found herself back at her grandma's house. She goes up to the back door, and she said she walked inside to the living room. And she said she could see a man standing next to her on the couch, dressed like Abraham Lincoln, with this big, tall top hat. And she said he was just staring at her. She woke up immediately after this, and she said she looked around the room. She didn't see anything. She said the next day, In the morning, her grandma tells her, you know, I had the craziest dream. And she said, well, what's that, Grandma? She said, I dreamt that some man was staring at you on the couch in this tall black hat.
What in the cannibalism did I just watch? KFC released this commercial, and it's probably the weirdest, maybe the most disturbing commercial I have ever seen. This commercial starts with this dude walking around the woods, and he makes eye contact with this chicken, and this is where things start to get really weird. This girl starts coming in and takes him to this cult-like ritual that's going on, where they gather around, come down from the trees, and they raise him up in the air. After this, everyone just runs away, and then this massive egg comes, and it looks like they're worshiping this golden egg, you know. And then eventually the girl walks this man to the lake, which is actually gravy because the commercial is called All Hail Gravy. He grabs this man, puts him inside the gravy until he can no longer breathe. You can see the bubbles stop, so he's clearly unalived. She pulls him back up, and he's a fried piece of whatever the heck they call it, chicken. I mean, call it truth in plain sight, call this just a joke, call it clickbait. This is weird.
I don't know why a fast food restaurant would even dare to even test that theory to put human as food in their commercial. People, they already know that people have this cannibalism, human in burger meat, human in chicken conspiracy going on. So like they're kind of testing the boundaries with that. Like that's actually kind of crazy.
I think we may have just witnessed one of the most embarrassing leaked group chats of all time, because it freaking belongs to the Vice President of the United States and his top officials. And they were chopping it up about bombing another country and talking shit about Europe. I know, this sounds too insane to be real, but somehow it is. And what's crazier is how this group chat leaked in the first place. So according to reports, on March the 11th, so 3 weeks ago, the Atlantic editor-in-chief Jeffrey Goldberg was accidentally added to a group chat on Signal. Now, firstly, the Pentagon themselves say that platforms like Signal shouldn't be used as a classified communication channel in the first place. And secondly, the fact that they had a random number in the group for that long is wild. Anyway, journalist Jeff immediately thinks this is a prank, right? There is no way he's in a group chat with JD Vance, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, Susie Wiles, the Chief of Staff, Michael Waltz, Trump's National Security Advisor, and a bunch of others. So to start off with, Jeff doesn't think too much about it, until they start talking about plans to carry out airstrikes on Yemen. You see, for context, after the Israel and Gaza ceasefire broke down recently, the Houthis started attacking ships traveling along the Bab al-Mandab Strait again. The Signal group chat was the Trump administration's response to this matter. And according to the leaked messages, several of the members were pissed about having to be the ones to save European trade. They said things like only 3% of the US trade runs through there, while 40% of European trade does. JD Vance, of course, jumped in on this topic and said, I just hate bailing Europe out again. To which the Secretary of Defense replied, I fully share your loathing of European freeloading. It's pathetic. All caps. Bro, imagine Europe reading this right now. Now, eventually in the chat, they came to the conclusion by saying, the US military are the only ones on the planet that can do this, so they probably should carry out a response. And keep in mind, this is all while Jeff the journalist is sat there reading these plans in a parking lot of a supermarket. He still believes this has gotta be fake, but the messages that he read included the precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timings. So he decides to go check Twitter at the time detailed that they were supposed to carry out these strikes, and sure enough, it was freaking real. Bro, dropping a fire emoji and a fist bump after carrying out airstrikes on another country is insane. And what's crazier is apparently we're only seeing a portion of what they spoke about in this chat. Because Jeff said that if he leaked all of it and it got into the hands of a foreign adversary, he said it could harm the American military and intelligence personnel. When asked about all of this at the White House today, President Trump denied knowing anything about the incident. Honestly, one of the craziest stories of the year so far.
Tell me why I did not know that they be texting like the presidents and like the vice presidents and the higher ups be texting group chats like us. Like they just be like, yeah, screw those freaking European dudes. Like, why do they freeload from us? Like, that's actually kind of hilarious. That's really, really funny. I mean, you know, it got leaked. It wasn't too crazy. Like, I thought they were going to say some crazy stuff. They just said that Europeans are freeloaders and, like, they didn't want to help him like that no more. Not that crazy. But he did say he's keeping some stuff back because, like, some stuff could actually harm American personnel and stuff like that. So I respect that, honestly.
When you run, a sharp pain can suddenly hit your stomach, making it hard to keep going. This happens because when you run, your stomach and liver bounce up and down, which starts pulling on the muscle that helps you breathe, which is your diaphragm. And because of this pulling, you feel that sharp pain, commonly called a side stitch.
This is the U.S. Navy's new weapon. The U.S. Navy has released stunning images showing its incredible new drone-destroying laser weapon in action for the first time. The Helios system blasts more than 60 kilowatts of directed energy, enough to power up to 60 homes at the speed of light, and can hit targets up to 5 miles away. It is designed to counter a range of threats, including drones, small boats, and potentially incoming missiles. Helios was also designed to disrupt the intelligence and reconnaissance sensors on enemy vessels. The testing comes as threats against America's warships are growing as foreign nations stock their arsenals with drones and anti-ship missiles.
So this video right here is a depiction of US troops that are supposed to be just like computer-generated coffins sitting in the ocean out in front of a destroyed US Navy vessel. Now, this is likely coming from Houthis or someone over in the Houthi territories in Yemen, and I think it's because they are underestimating what the US Navy is capable of and also underestimating what this new administration is willing to do. I don't really think that they realize that there is a significant difference between this administration and the previous administration. So on March 15th, U.S. Central Command initiated a series of operations consisting of precision strikes against the Iranian-backed Houthi targets across Yemen in order to defend and protect American interests and deter the enemies and restore freedom of navigation in the region. Because obviously the Houthis have historically been targeting merchant vessels traveling in the vicinity of Yemen, and they've been targeting U.S. military ships in the region, as well as other allies' ships and navies in the region. They targeted these Houthis with airstrikes and also from launching missiles from ships out there off the coast of Yemen. Now, US CENTCOM has released footage of these airstrikes being conducted, not necessarily from the aircraft's perspective, but from ISR feeds and also from feeds recording on the ships.
Yeah, I think I heard something that like Trump bombed him or something like that. Like, I don't know.
So it's a very strange feeling of, especially once you land in the capsule in the water, the main thing you're feeling is, as you mentioned, gravity. You haven't been feeling the effects of gravity for 6 months. And it feels like just this huge magnetic, strange force that's welding you into your seat.
Like a sumo wrestler sitting on you kind of thing?
Sitting on you, except it's even your lips and your cheeks, everything feels heavy. So when I landed with my commander of the Dragon capsule, Raja Chari, we tried to pick up some water bottles and we dropped them in our lap because they just felt so heavy.
That's fascinating. You had trouble picking them up?
Oh, it's just a strange sensation that anything would be pulled against you. And so, yeah, a little bit of a trouble.
Wow. Do you feel like your face is falling as well?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, you feel all of the muscles dragging on your bones until your body gets used to gravity again.
I mean, it makes sense. You're in space. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'd be watching a lot of videos of astronauts in space, and the way how they, like, operate, they don't even really, like, use strength at all. I mean, obviously, because you're in a non-gravitational atmosphere, I guess you could say. Like, they'll just be, like, you drinking the water. They don't even drink water. They, like, squeeze it out of this tube, and then just, like, they'll be, like, little balls, and it's like, that's cool. That's cool. Apparently, it's some new technology to control riots and crowds, and it has to do with sound. That's all I know.
There's a guy that claims to channel, I don't know if he's channeling an alien or some ancient spirit or something like that. Some guy, he talks very loud and very strangely. Who's that guy?
His name is, he's a famous channeler.
Yeah.
He's channeling aliens.
That's right.
He channels the aliens, an alien, I believe.
An alien. So this guy was talking, and he says fascinating stuff, even though the idea is ridiculous. Like the idea of him channeling this alien, just on paper, is ridiculous. I'm not saying it's not real. On paper, it's ridiculous. He was saying that not only is the universe new, but the universe is new all throughout the day, depending on the choices you make. You bend into parallel realities that are very different, and you leave behind all of the different variations of you that exist in all the different variations of this reality.
Wow.
And that you are experiencing a very unique journey that's dependent upon your thoughts and ideas and actions. And every time you do it a certain way, you move in a certain direction.
That from moment to moment to moment to moment, you are constantly reinventing yourself, literally, physically, jumping from parallel reality to parallel reality to parallel reality that is representative of the vibration you happen to be at any given moment. And when I say creating, I mean that at every moment you make a change, you make a total change, a complete change in the entirety of your universal experience.
Dude, yeah, multiverse navigation via some kind of like
Yes.
will.
Which used to sound crazy. The idea of multiverse is so abstract until they started doing quantum computing. And the only way to explain the power of quantum computing is that it's somehow or another accessing an infinite number of these multiverses and instantaneously using them all to solve this equation in a preposterous amount of time. And if that's true, like if we all knew the multiverse was real and we knew that this man who talks like this, I am channeling, if that guy's accurate and what he's saying is right, and sometimes wacky people say true shit, if that guy's accurate and we can all come to an understanding that every little decision that you make, every way you think about things, every way you move through this life has this ultimate effect of transforming the very universe that you exist in.
Yeah.
And you can literally move to a higher plane.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it's true, but it seems to behave as if it's true.
That I don't think channeling is bullshit, dude.
I don't think it's bullshit either. I don't know what percentage of it is definitely bullshit, though. I don't think the idea of channeling is bullshit, but I think some channelers are bullshit, and that's the problem.
That is such an interesting theory and concept, and that's low-key a concept that I could like logically see possible, us having multiple alternate and parallel universes, and each decision you make kind of like correlates to if you have a good, I guess you could say, ending or a bad ending, depending on how you want to live your life. I would not doubt if what that guy was saying was like a truth. I'm not gonna lie. Let me know what you guys think about multi-universes in the comments.
So here's Butch and Sunita. You notice how she's got her beautiful gray hair coming in? You notice how Butch has stubble? Yeah. And look, they're coming back. Being greeted. Return home after major delay. Look, Sunita got her roots done in space. Look, Butch cut his hair in space. Interesting, huh? Isn't it interesting that you could be in space for 9 months and your gray hairs are gone? And then your stubble, we just showed in the last frame, is now gone. They're trimming their fucking hair on the Space Center, and no wonder they couldn't get back, because they got hairs in the drains, in the clogs. You know what I mean? Anyways, it's all a big fucking show. Enjoy the ride, kids. There you go.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that I've seen that think that space shuttle landing and all that was fake. They came back, I think it was either yesterday or the day before yesterday. I saw there was so many videos of them landing in the Gulf of Mexico, aka the Gulf of America, I guess.
The dumbest things that humans have done. An Australian man saw a giant hairy spider on his ceiling. His first instinct was to get up on a ladder and try and catch the spider in a Chinese food container. However, as he tried to execute this master plan, the spider outsmarted him and jumped on his face, causing him to fall off the ladder. At that point, just burned down the whole house. Also, this woman in Brazil got kidnapped in a stranger's garage by accident. Basically, this motorcycle driver was pulling out of his garage when a woman was walking by at the exact same time. The closing door apparently caught the woman off guard, sweeping her into the garage and trapping her there. And legend has it that she's still stuck in there today. And finally, NASA got a hold of a spider and decided to feed it hardcore drugs. They did this to see if their webs would look different when they were tripping out of their mind. But what does that have to do with rockets?
The weirdest houses ever. You really gotta love music to make your house look like this. I'm trying to think of how to describe this house. It looks like a bathroom. Does that make sense? Totally normal house except for the giant shark that crashed into the roof.
This must be a ghost house. I don't know why, but I really don't like how it looks. Before I show you the best one, I just found a way to erase anything from your photos. Try it out by pressing the button on my profile, then press erase and edit like a pro. And finally, wait, is that Squidward? Interesting design choice.
3 facts that could save your life, part 5. If you ever find yourself trapped on a thin piece of ice and have no way of getting back to safe land before it breaks, lie down on your stomach and start slowly crawling back to exactly the way you came in on. That'll put less stress on the ice, making it almost impossible for it to break. Most people understand flags on shorelines, but the purple flag confuses most people. The purple flag being the warning that the most dangerous sea creatures are in that exact area, such as jellyfish, stingrays, and of course, sharks. If you ever feel like puking while you're scuba diving, vomit into the regulator. Do not remove it from your mouth. Removing it from your mouth will make it impossible to reapply it on your face, meaning that you're probably pretty far underwater, and once you remove that from your face, you probably will most likely drown. Like and follow for more videos.
It's just a secret, it cannot be finished. Honey, don't you love me and you know it makes me sad. Like you always used to do. I was different then, I don't need them to be cool.
Animal facts you didn't know about. Did you know a sea turtle can swim faster than Usain Bolt can sprint? Meaning an animal that is literally carrying their house on their back can swim 35 miles an hour. And mother pandas in zoo pretend to be pregnant so that zookeepers give them more food. Why does that not surprise me at all? And finally, the tongue of a woodpecker wraps around their brain so that when they go pecking, their brain doesn't rattle everywhere in their skull.
Animals that have killed humans. In 1983, Tilikum the orca was captured and brought to SeaWorld. However, on February 24th, 2010, Tilikum the orca drowned its 40-year-old trainer at SeaWorld named Dom Branchot. The orca grabbed his trainer by the ponytail and pulled her into the water, drowning her to her end. They say he did this because he was in captivity for over 33 years, which drove him to insanity. This was the 3rd time that Tilikum the orca had claimed a human life. But what do you think about this? Who is in the wrong here?
Do you guys remember the 2 girls who recorded their murder before their bodies were found near a wooded area?
Trying to identify the suspect in this photo and this voice.
On February 2017, 13-year-old Abby Williams and 14-year-old Liberty German were walking along Delphi Historic Trails, Indiana, when they snapped these photos right before they went missing that evening. Police suspected that the man in this photo was involved in their disappearance and murder, but they didn't know who this man was. The girls' bodies were found the next day very close to where they took those photos, and police received multiple tips that the man in the recording and photo on Liberty's phone was 50-year-old Richard Allen. Richard was arrested and charged, but he pleaded not guilty and kept his innocence. But recently, on April 3rd of this year, Richard called his wife Kathy and confessed to murdering both Abby and Liberty. Investigators believe that Richard forced the girls down a hill and took their life with a .40 caliber.
Here are some crazy things that humans used to resist. Doctors refused to wash their hands, with many of them rejecting the idea that invisible germs made them dirty until germ theory proved them wrong. Shopping carts were seen as weak, with men refusing to use them because it made them look incapable, while women resisted them out of habit of carrying a basket. This changed after a grocery store hired models as fake actors to normalize them. Microwaves were feared, with people in the 1950s to 1970s thinking they would make food radioactive, and some men insisting real cooking required fire. Seatbelts were mocked, as many men in the 1950s and 60s thought they implied cowardice or bad driving, refusing to wear them out of misplaced pride. Dishwashers were seen as unnecessary, with many housewives believing they were not as good as hand washing and feeling guilty for taking the easy way out. ATMs were feared, with many people in the 1960s and 70s believing they'd lose their money to a robot and preferring face-to-face banking.
2025 just got even crazier, part 15. So in 2020, I made a video how scientists are trying to bring back the woolly mammoth. Well, it's 2025 and we are officially one step closer to actually bringing this extinct animal back. Because I present to you the woolly mouse. Scientists have just genetically engineered mice with key characteristics of an extinct woolly mammoth. Doing this lays a path for the future of bringing back this extinct mammoth with Asian elephants. Next, just recently at a German soccer match, a referee suffered an unexpected injury. Well, what happened was, before the game was even started, one of the player's sons ran onto the field and bit the referee in his family jewels. If you don't know what that means, look in the comments. Well, somehow, from this, the referee was in so much pain by this unexpected bite, the whole game had to be cancelled.
Okay, that kid biting the referee was absolutely crazy and uncalled for, but like, why do we need to bring back the woolly mammoth? I'm pretty sure I saw that video where he was talking about we need to bring it back like probably 100 uploads ago, and I was just saying the same thing, like, why do we need to bring back a woolly mammoth?
Mysterious videos that can't be explained. In 2013, a man uploaded this video to YouTube under the name ZeroFoxFK. In the video, the man screen records himself setting up his brand new Xbox Kinect system. In the video, you can see the man set up his camera and begin to play with the Kinect features. He switches the Kinect camera to night vision mode when all of a sudden, you can see something really creepy behind him. A shadowy figure appears to look at the camera and then walk off. The man turns around but sees nothing. Who or what the camera picked up that day, we will never know. But it sure is creepy. I mean, imagine setting up your new Xbox and you see that on your TV behind you. Creepy. Disgusting human body facts that you don't want to know about, but I'm just going to tell you anyways. Every year, a human being sheds over 1.5 pounds of skin. Where does it all go? Out of all the cells in your body, just 10% of them are human. The rest are bacteria. The average fast food eater consumes about 12 pubic hairs every single year. Ugh. There's enough fat in a human body to produce 7 bars of soap. If you learned something, leave a like and maybe even a follow.
What North Korea looks like in 2025. So, North Korea just allowed tourists to visit the country for the first time in 5 years. And what they saw was shocking. Because the visitors who went to North Korea are still saying it's super strict about COVID, and a majority of people living in North Korea are still wearing COVID masks outside even in 2025. Next, a new luxury mall opened up in North Korea, and inside the mall was an IKEA, but IKEA came out and claimed it's a total knockoff and it happened without their permission. Finally, visitors also realized that North Koreans have made knockoffs of popular apps like Clash of Clans and Piano Tiles. However, instead of playing pop songs, they just played North Korean songs. However, even though they just started allowing tourists, they have mysteriously came out and said that they have stopped tourism again.
Yeah, I actually have a video of this dude literally getting footage inside North Korea. I might put it in the video right now.
얼마입니까? 2,000원인데. 2,000원. Tiga. Taruh bunga dulu sana, taruh bunga. Saya taruh bunganya sana. Masukin. Apa angkat ya? Taruh sini bunganya.
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's obviously North Korea. We see the huge statues right there. Honestly, North Korea is so mysterious. It's such an interesting country.
Here's some crazy history that you definitely didn't learn in school. R. Norris Williams survived the Titanic, nearly lost his legs to frostbite, then won an Olympic gold medal in tennis. Anaxagoras was exiled for saying the moon was just a rock. King Henry VIII had royal poop inspectors, and he knighted them. Shakespeare added 2,200 words to the English language, including swagger. The Navajo Nation has banned genetic research on its members since 2002 over ethical and sovereignty concerns. The Prohibition Party, which fought for alcohol bans in the 1920s, is still active. The oldest active third party in the United States. Gerald Ford became president without ever winning an election for VP or president thanks to the 25th Amendment. Escaped slaves in colonial Brazil built a confederated kingdom that lasted nearly 90 years with over a population of 10,000 people.
Facts that will ruin your childhood, part 1. Before Phil Lewis, the actor, played Mr. Mosby on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, In 1991, he was driving while intoxicated and hit a woman, killing her, and was charged with manslaughter. In the movie The Wizard of Oz, the Cowardly Lion costume is made out of real lion fur, so the actor is inside a dead lion playing a lion. And have you ever wondered why Plankton always wanted the Krabby Patty formula? It's because he was abused by his parents when he grew up, and he was neglected by society, leaving him with no friends. He thought that if he could steal the Krabby Patty formula, he would be accepted into society. All Plankton wanted was some friends.
3 ways to survive a skinwalker. Number 1. Don't ever whistle in the woods. No matter if it's daytime or nighttime, that's a calling signal, meaning that you're letting the skinwalker know exactly where you are. Number 2. Pray as hard to whatever you believe in as possible. Skinwalkers are demonic creatures, being so that they were transformed this way because they are cannibals, and have killed before. Number 3. White ash tree rubbed bullets may be one of the only other ways to stop a skinwalker in its tracks. Of course, most people don't have those laying around, so if you're in an area where you think you may or may not be able to run into one, you may want to pack those just in case. Don't forget to like and follow for another episode.
This is why you should never explore the forest at night. Late at night in 2006, 2 men hear some strange noises coming from a forest near their house, so they decide to go have a look. After their footage went completely viral, they would admit that they actually only went into the woods just to scare themselves. They didn't actually expect to film anything. At some point on their walk, they start to notice more and more dead birds on the ground, and so one of them gets out his camera to start filming them. As they're filming the birds, you can tell that they're getting more and more spooked by the whole situation, and then one of the men hears something in the tree line, and the cameraman pans his camera to look. Human eyes don't reflect light.
After years of heartbreak and political controversy, Morgan Harris's remains have finally been found in a Winnipeg area landfill, proving her family's relentless fight was justified. Harris, one of 4 Indigenous women murdered by convicted serial killer Jeremy Skibicki in 2022, was discovered after months of excavation. Despite authorities initially refusing to search, advocates say this is a long overdue vindication, but they demand accountability from police and government leaders who dismissed the search, insisting that no family should have to fight this hard to bring a loved one home.
The devastating story of Kaya Campbell and the YouTube channel she left behind will forever live in my head. Trigger warning, essay. On June 7th, 2017, 10-year-old Kaya and her stepbrother, 15-year-old Aiden Zelmer, left to go to a local Walgreens after he damaged one of her Pokemon cards and agreed to steal her new ones. When arriving at the Walgreens, he realized the cards were kept behind the cashier, so he stole some candy instead, and the two left the store. On their way home, Aiden claimed that they got into some sort of argument and she was annoying him, so he just left her and walked home alone, to which Kaya never returned. Her parents filed a missing persons report, but it wasn't long until a man discovered Kaya's lifeless body. According to reports, her skull was bashed in and her pants were pulled down with signs of SA. Police then discovered blood on Aiden's shoes that traced him back to Kaya, resulting in him being arrested for murder. Allegedly, he confessed to one of his cellmates that he did beat Kaya with a metal pipe and planned to go on the run, but police caught him before he could do so. He was sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole in 40 years, meaning he would be 55 years old.
The married couple behind me are related. Let's talk about how that happened. In 2017, Adriana, the wife pictured behind me, wanted to find her mother who abandoned her when she was an infant. She went on TV, eventually she found her mom, and the two had a nice, emotional reunion. But things were just getting started with that. Her mother revealed she also abandoned her infant brother, Leandro. And guess who her husband turned out to be? Leandro himself, her brother. Despite the two realizing now that they are both brother and sister, they decided to stay married, and they vowed to not separate. What in the Star Wars is this? This story happened in Brazil. Now let's just hope these two don't have children, because it might be the Goonies in real life. I don't know, I feel like if I were in their position and I realized that, I'd probably be disgusted and, go to a remote mountain somewhere and live out the rest of my life as a monk. When I was reading this story, I expected it to be from Alabama or something. Brazil surprised me. Let me know what you guys think about this interesting love story in the comment section below. And as always, these videos are for informational and entertainment purposes only.
That's interesting. I always thought incest was more of a subconscious thing. You know what I'm saying? You could low-key be like, I have for some reason don't have any attraction towards you. You know what I'm saying? But turns out if you actually don't know the person that you're with is not your brother, you could just, you know what I'm saying, get with them and then you'll be good. Like, I don't know. That one is kind of strange, but at the same time, can you really blame them for not separating? I mean, I don't know. Like, I even know how to look at that, because it's just like, you caught feelings for this person and then you found out it's actually your brother / sister. Like, what's your next move? You know what I'm saying? Like, those feelings are still there. It's not like you're gonna be like, oh, that's my brother, gone. You know, like, what?
So this serial killer used to live in my city. In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Paul Bernardo raped 19 women and murdered 4 women. He began by sexually assaulting multiple women in Scarborough, Ontario between the ages of 15 and 21. He would beat them, abuse them, and then videotape the entire interaction and then threaten them if they told police. Paul met 17-year-old Carla Homolka, and unlike other girls he dated in the past, he realized that she shared the same sick fantasies. While they dated, Paul continued to do what he was doing with Carla's knowledge and approval. Now, this is where things get super dark and disturbing. 3 years into the relationship, Paul tells Carla that he wants a virgin, so he turns his attention to Carla's 15-year-old little sister, Tammy. Carla agreed, and a couple of days before Christmas, she spiked her little sister's drink, and when Tammy was unconscious, both her and Paul sexually assaulted her. 15-year-old Tammy choked on her vomit and passed away. Her death was not really investigated and it was ruled an accident, and both Paul and Carla got away with murder. In 1993, Carla left Paul after he beat her with a flashlight, and within 2 months, a DNA sample taken from Paul turned up as a match for the Scarborough rapist, and he was arrested in February 1993. Carla worked with police and testified against Paul, and she was only sentenced to 12 years in prison. She was released in 2005. She got remarried, had 3 kids, and now lives in Quebec. On the other hand, Paul was sentenced to life in prison, and he was denied parole multiple times.
The Weeknd's new album talks about the firmament, the end times, and the music industry taking singers to hell. A couple of you guys told me to look at Timeless by The Weeknd and Playboi Carti. He says, "City on fire when I'm coming home, fill up the sky, I fill up the dome," the firmament. They all know about the firmament. All the people fooling the masses, they all know. It's obvious to them, and they're laughing at us. I got a priest, he got a cross, get out of line, send him to God. I shed a tear, pray for a loss, oh yeah. So the video for this has some really interesting visuals. Here it looks like they're in hell, and take notice of this hell mouth. If you guys are familiar with Travis Scott's Astro World, he has very similar imagery. They're taking from this painting called Christ in Limbo. This is on the outer circle of hell. There's like a giant being that swallows people that are going to hell. And there's all different pictures of hellmouth. Then we had a close-up of hell with the full moon in the background. Then a quick flash of a sign that says paradise. Playboi Carti flashing his pentagram necklaces. The Weeknd doing an Illuminati symbol. He did it like 5 times. This is just 2 pictures. But I want to draw your attention to the album. It's called Hurry Up Tomorrow, and the picture is him screaming in agony. But look at the song list. Wake Me Up featuring Justice, Until We're Skin and Bones, Baptized in Fear, Open Hearts, Opening Night, Reflections Laughing, Enjoy the Show featuring Future, Given Up on Me, I Can't Wait to Get There, Take Me Back to LA, Big Sleep, Give Me Mercy, The Abyss, Red Terror, Without a Warning, and then Hurry Up Tomorrow. Give Me Mercy, Conversations with the Sky, Mercy on My Soul, Things I Should Have Known, Master of Deceptive Lies. Every time I lost my way, I lost my faith. Devil tricks with paradise, none of it is true. Fighting for your light, hoping that it's worth all the bleeding. Big Sleep. Well, you used up your borrowed life and you wasted your borrowed time. Big sleep, you barely put up a fight, ready for the forever night. I can't wait to get there. The darkness keeps you shining. Just sign on the dotted line. I can't wait to get there. Guys, this is not just art. All Christians are screaming from the rooftops that we're in the last minutes of the end times. The entertainment industry has been putting subtle hints out, and now we have stuff that's this obvious. Stop listening to this crap and get right with Jesus. He is coming back soon.
I mean, to be fair, they did say that Lucifer was what, the king of the choir or something like that. Like he was the angel that produced music. So I guess music is the devil if you really think about it. So I can see exactly why it's so demonic nowadays. I mean, the end times, I don't know. Because I feel like they've been saying the end times for like damn near 100 years now.
These are the photos that NASA chose to send to aliens. They're riding on the first spacecrafts to leave our solar system, Voyager 1 and 2, which are now way out into interstellar space, carrying these golden records with these images on them. They show our home and where in the universe we're located. They show how we do math and how we define things like time and distance. They show what humans are, from the makeup of our DNA to how we reproduce and grow and age, to how we eat and drink. They show what we do. They show where we live and what we've built and discovered. It's a message about us, hurtling 17 kilometers per second through space between stars so that maybe one day someone might find it. If you need more optimistic science and tech stories, follow along.
That's kind of scary, because why would you want to give aliens our whole biology? Like, that's so weird. I believe a lot in the dark forest theory, where it's like we might be giving out our location to like unknown entities that might try to hurt us. So I think as humans, we should keep our location on the low.
The Shaq and Kobe beef has got to be one of the wildest in sports history. Why, you ask? Well, because Shaquille O'Neal had a problem. His teammate Kobe sucked, but he had insane potential. The Lakers called in Shaq. They said, "Shaq." He said, "Uh-huh." They said, "We got you a teammate. His name Kobe. He a kid, he sucks, but he got insane potential." Shaq said, "That's well and good, but I'm trying to win a championship right now." Because see, Shaq is considered by many to be the most unstoppable force in basketball history. Fun fact, they had to change how they made NBA backboards because he kept breaking them. Imagine what he did to human beings. And he was in his prime at that time. He didn't want to spend his prime, in his words, babysitting a kid. Kobe said, "Babysit who? I could hoop." Kobe could not hoop. But again, Kobe had potential and his work ethic was insane. Now, one day they're in practice and they start getting a little physical, Kobe and Shaq. One thing leads to another. They start arguing and Shaq smacks him. Pam! Boom! The team jumps in and separates the both of them. Things are bad after this. So the team makes a brilliant move and hires one of the greatest coaches of all time, Phil Jackson. The guy who coached Michael Jordan to 6 championships and was an expert at dealing with personalities. Shaq and Kobe began to dominate, with Shaq not only being the best player in the Lakers, but also the best player in the NBA. Kobe, his right-hand man. They win a championship. Kobe said, "Yeah, Shaq, let's work hard over the summer and let's win another championship." Shaq? Somebody came in and said, "Oh, Shaq already on a plane. He went on vacation." Shaq comes back the next year out of shape. And in Kobe's words, "Man, Shaq, the guy selling you donuts is working harder than you." Shaq said, "Hold on now, Kobe. I ain't never been soft. Watch your mouth." Phil Jackson comes in and says, "Hey, y'all, chill out. Let's just win." Shaq gets it together and they win another championship. And then they win again. They were unstoppable, with Shaq inarguably being the best player each time leading the team, which was fine. It's something everybody knew. But here's where things start to get wicked. See, everybody knew Kobe was good, but nobody knew how good. After they win their 3 championships, Shaq gets injured, so he's taking some time off. So Kobe, not having to share the ball as much, goes insane, and for 9 straight games scores 40 points. If you don't know basketball, that's a lot of points. Now Shaq comes back. Phil Jackson goes, Remember, Phil Jackson knows how to manage personalities. So he immediately pulls Kobe Bryant to the side and says, "Look, Shaq is back. You need to start passing him the ball a little more. Let's get him back in the..." Kobe said, "Let me stop you right there. I'm just finna score." Phil said, "You're not listening to me. If we don't pass it to Shaq, he not gonna get back in the flow of things." This pisses Kobe off. Shaq and Kobe begin to argue. Their team chemistry sucks and they lose a bunch of games. Okay, next year, time to try again. But this time, all of their contracts are up, meaning they have 1 more year to show out before it's time to renegotiate. Shaq, best player in the league. If you renegotiate with him, you got to pay him a lot of money. Kobe showed he can be the best player in the league. He has a lot of legal drama going on outside right now. Phil Jackson, best coach, but he's having a tough time managing their personalities and lost a bunch of games. And well, here's where things start to get wickeder. Kobe missing a lot of practices because of his legal troubles. One day in practice, Shaq says, "Everybody here who need to be here, That gets out to the media. Kobe said, what'd he say? Phil Jackson says, chill out, he was just talking. Kobe said, well, if you keep just talking, I'm finna start just talking to the media too. Phil Jackson says, oh, no. So the Lakers and Phil Jackson bring both Kobe and Shaq in. They said, y'all can argue all you want, but don't let the world see it. Shaq and Kobe said, all right. Kobe starts coming back to practice. Reporters go to Shaq and say, Shaq, Kobe's back. Shaq says, yeah, and what he need to do is start passing the ball. Kobe said, what'd he say? Reporters say, you heard what he said? You gonna argue back or you scared? Kobe said, nah, I ain't never been scared. Shaq need to worry about himself. Reporters said, Shaq need to worry about himself. The headlines was going crazy. The two go back and forth until Kobe comes out and does an official interview saying Shaq is fat, he's out of shape, he's selfish because he want all the money and leaving us out here with crumbs. This was the breaking point. Because the thing is, Shaq be throwing hands. So everyone on the Lakers knew the next moment Kobe came to practice, it was on. Kobe knew the same thing. So before he walked through the doors his next practice, he said, all right. Kobe walked in and the team was able to stop things from getting physical. Kobe told Shaq, you said you were supposed to be my older brother, but when all this legal stuff went down, you ain't have my back. For those of you that don't know, Kobe was accused of doing something terrible to a woman in 2003. So their teammate Brian Shaw steps in and kind of sums up the beef. He tells Kobe, bro, we don't know you. When Shaq was inviting people to parties and dinners, you never came because you were always practicing, working really hard. Shaq invited you to his wedding. You didn't show up. You had a wedding. You didn't invite any of us. We don't know you. He said, but now that you're in all this trouble, you expect us all to just jump behind you and have your back. See, while it's easy to just say this person's right, this person's wrong, it just seemed to boil down to both Kobe and Shaq were just fundamentally different people. Hey, look, it's Allen Iverson. But well, Phil Jackson decided to fine Kobe Bryant for defying his orders and having interviews talking to the media. Shaq felt bad about Kobe's legal situation and decided not to take their beef public. But the team sucked. Well, to be more clear, they were amazing, but they couldn't work well as a team. The Detroit Pistons did play as a team, so they beat the Lakers in the finals. The Lakers called in Phil Jackson and said, Phil, you can't get them together. You fired. Phil says, say less. Shaq said, Phil gone? All right, y'all better trade me because I know y'all finna do anything for Kobe. Shaq's point basically was, during that last finals against the Pistons, Phil was yelling at Kobe to pass the ball to Shaq. Kobe trying to win the whole thing by himself. They lost. Them saying, Phil Jackson, you're fired, kind of sends a statement. It shows the Lakers seem to favor Kobe. Kobe said, it don't matter to me. I want to go too. The Lakers said, wait, we can't lose all three of y'all. We finna trade Shaq. The Lakers also wanted to play faster and flashier, and Kobe fit that mold better. Kobe says, Shaq gone, say less. Kobe stays with the Lakers, and everybody's happy. Psych, stupid. Then Kobe messes up. It comes out that during his legal case, he was snitching a little bit. He said to the police, man, I should have just done what Shaq does and pay women off. Everyone looked at Shaq. Shaq said, like Brian Shaw said earlier, Kobe and I never hung out. How would Kobe know that? Kobe goes on an interview and says, I was wrong for that. I want to apologize to Shaq. But the two didn't really make up. Until a few years later, they become older, wiser, and become very, very close friends. Kobe then tragically passes away in 2020, and Shaq gives a heartfelt speech during his memorial. Two very different men who are among the greatest duos in basketball history despised each other at first, but eventually were able to find some common ground.
Yeah, R.I.P. Kobe, bro. Kobe was a GOAT. That was definitely my favorite basketball player of all time.
Menendez brothers' resentencing hearing is coming up on March 20th and 21st, but unlike their trial in 1989, Eric and Lyle may have a real chance at a fair hearing this time around. As you may know, Eric and Lyle were sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole for their parents' murder, despite the brothers' insistence that they did it because their father abused them for years and years. The problem was that all the evidence about this abuse was presented in their first trial, but that trial ended with a hung jury, meaning the jurors couldn't reach a unanimous decision. Then, in their second trial, the judge barred any evidence about the brothers' history of sexual abuse from being presented in their case. And that's when they were found guilty. In the late 80s and early 90s, it was hard for people to believe that the brothers were as safe because abuse against boys wasn't really talked about as much as it is now. But recently, new evidence has been found which proves Eric and Lyle were telling the truth about their father. When Eric was a teen, he wrote his cousin Andy a letter telling him all about his father coming into his room in the middle of the night and making him do unspeakable things. Remember, back in the day, the brothers were convicted because it was assumed that they were not actually being abused. So having a letter that was written before the murder does change everything. The main obstacle the brothers are facing now, which could potentially prevent them from being resentenced, is the new Los Angeles DA, who doesn't seem to support their cause. If you guys are kind of on the fence about this case, I would advise that you watch the Menendez brothers documentary to better understand this case, and I can promise you your opinion will definitely change. At Eric and Lyle's upcoming hearing, the DA could recommend to the judge that the boys be resentenced, but he also might not. A free way that you can support their resentencing is by using the Justice for Eric and Lyle link in my bio to sign the petition to the DA.
How long you can survive without one of your organs, without one kidney, your entire life, without the nose, 65 years, without the stomach, 5 years, without the mouth, 3 days, without the heart, 10 minutes, without the bones, 8 minutes, without the brain, 6 minutes, without the lungs, 5 minutes, without the skin, 30 seconds, without your phone, 0 seconds.
I don't know why they said bone. I'm pretty sure our bones and our phones are not organs, but okay.
That could save your life.
If the ice isn't floating, don't drink it. There is something in the drink. Never sleep with your windows open. Typing for 144 will turn on TikTok's dark mode. If you're ever in a falling elevator, lay flat on your back. Leave a note on a table before you leave the house. If you come back and it's gone, leave the house immediately and call the police. There is no name that starts with an S and ends with S.
Breaking news, they have now revealed missing Sudiska's last known transactions. The missing 20-year-old made the transactions 40 minutes apart on the afternoon of March 5th. Her first payment was made to an unspecified user at 2:54 p.m. with only an emoji of a sailboat. At 3:38 p.m., she paid a second Venmo user for Coco Bongo, which is seemingly a reference for a popular nightclub in the area. And it was billed as, quote, the hottest nightlife spot in the Dominican Republic. Then a missing persons report was filed by her friends around 4 p.m. on March 6th. Her father then subsequently filed his own report from his hometown about 2 hours later. After furthering the investigation, authorities have now named a person of interest. He has been identified as a 24-year-old senior at St. Cloud State University. They say while he is a person of interest in this case, they are cautioning that he is not a suspect. He is believed to have been the last person to have seen her. They have also confirmed the resort lost power around 1:27 a.m., which is why she and the person of interest may have been on the beach in the middle of the night. They said power wasn't fully restored until early the next morning. Due to the power outages, it disabled their security systems and cameras at the resort. Because the beach area is usually off limits at night, it was also unsupervised. The outage also disrupted the lighting and security systems and security surveillance cameras on the beach.
To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
Here are some horror movie fates that are even worse than being sewn into a human centipede. Because just when you thought you've seen it all, I'm here to bring you the worst of the worst. I don't really see a lot of people talking about this, but there's one scene in this movie that still haunts me, and it's been years since I saw it. Wrong Turn from 2021 is about a group of friends who go hiking in the Appalachian Mountains. And there they encounter a cult called the Foundation, and this cult has a very unique justice system. And the scene that I'm talking about is how this cult chooses to punish people who commit crimes such as trespassing or even lying. One of the characters in this movie is sentenced to darkness, which is a punishment that is worse than death. And basically what that means is that their eyes and ears are burned out with a hot poker and their tongue is ripped out of their mouths. These people are then kept alive and thrown into a dark cave where they live the rest of their lives in silence and darkness. You literally see all of this happen in the movie, so that definitely traumatized me a little bit. But if you're into body horror, this movie will definitely give it to you. This is the 7th movie in the Wrong Turn franchise, but you don't really need to watch the other movies to watch this, it'll still make sense. A part of me kind of wishes that it was a standalone movie and had nothing to do with the rest of the lore, but overall I did like it. Let me know if you've seen any movies that you think are even more disturbing than the human centipede, and follow for more horror and movie content every single day.
Here are some facts about your body that you probably didn't know. First off, our taste buds do not work without saliva. To test this, try drying off your tongue with a piece of paper towel, and then eat any food you want. You won't be able to taste it until your saliva mixes with it, which dissolves the food, which binds it to our taste receptors. Next, if you ever get punched in the mouth and your tooth falls out, there's actually a chance you can save it. If you gently rinse it and then place it back into the socket, if you do this in a short amount of time, it may actually be able to reattach itself. Next, when you breathe through your nose, you're mostly breathing through one nostril. This is called the nasal cycle, which switches between each nostril every few hours. But you only really notice this when you have a cold.
I just found a way you can change your eye color, and I want to see if you can do it. Okay, what I need you to do is stare at the eye at the center of this circle. Now double tap the screen if you want to know what's going on. Try not to blink, and whatever you do not look away. Now, as you're watching this, you will see this image begin to shift and move. This is the feeling of your brain changing your eye color. It will be a fully different color in 3, 2, 1. Go to a washroom right now and look at your eyes in the mirror. Your eyes will be a different color. Comment what you saw.
Get facts that you didn't need to know. This is the world's smallest reptile. Look how tiny it is. The stoneheads found in the Easter Islands actually have bodies. Most Korean people have a genetic mutation called ABCC11, which makes their sweat odorless. If you're looking to get revenge on your ex, only slash 3 tires and not 4, because the insurance covers all 4 tires. Cannibalism is legal in 49 US states. An elephant's 5th leg is so big and strong that it can throw around an adult human. Hippos sweat red, like actually.
This is a scary urban legend about the Rake. This is the Rake. He is a scary urban legend in the United States. He is a humanoid creature with very large teeth and claws that stalks its victims and appears at the end of their beds while they sleep, or in the woods or their houses. He is 6 feet tall, with pale grayish skin and 2 very large eyes. When the Rake has a victim, he completely stalks them and terrifies them, and then mutilates their body, completely ripping them apart and killing them. The Rake has a lot of dangerous and powerful powers. He has superhuman strength and speed, also invisibility and shapeshifting, and even teleportation. People who have been stalked by the Rake have either committed suicide because they couldn't handle what the Rake was doing to them, or the Rake just kills them. All in all, the Rake is a very powerful creature, and every single one of us should pray that we never see him.
I've seen hundreds of horror movies, and these are some that actually scared me, and I promise will make you sleep with the lights on. The first time I saw Incantation, I literally had full body chills. This movie just has a way of getting under your skin, and after you're done watching it, you're gonna feel like you're cursed. It's about a mother who realizes that after she messed with this forbidden tunnel that belongs to a religious cult, that she ended up unleashing a curse that is now tormenting her daughter years later. If you're into found footage movies like Hell House LLC, Blair Witch, anything like that, I just have to say that Incantation is one of the scariest found footage movies I've ever seen. You need to watch this if you haven't yet. And for the next movie, I don't mean to be biased, but when it comes to disturbing movies, Asian horror is next level. 99% of this movie I cannot show on here, which is how you know it's good. I genuinely believe that anybody who says the body horror scenes in this movie didn't get to them is probably lying. The Sadness is a movie that pushes every single limit. But I don't know if I'm just messed up because I still think it's a really good movie. But beyond all of that, what really got under my skin is the concept behind this movie. It's kind of a zombie movie, but not really, because it centers around a virus that makes people act on their darkest thoughts. The messed up things that they desire on the inside, the things that they're too afraid to act on. If you guys know about the comic book series Crossed, the virus and the sadness is kind of like that. And this is the last movie on the list. It's completely different than the past two, but it's megalomaniac. This one is about the children of a serial killer who suddenly disappeared. And we're watching this serial killer's son and daughter attempt to either live a normal life or carry on their father's legacy. This is a very strange movie. I would describe it as kind of like watching someone's nightmare unfold. If you like weird horror crime movies, almost like Longlegs but turned up to 100, then Megalomaniac might just be for you. Let me know what was the last horror movie that really scared you, because if I haven't seen it, I'll watch it and I'll recommend it if I really liked it. And don't forget to follow for more.
Scientists have created super skin that can self-heal 90% of damage in just 4 hours. This breakthrough is made possible by combining entangled polymer networks with ultra-thin nanosheets, making it incredibly resistant, allowing you to heal like a superhero. This milestone opens a window to newer possibilities in the fields of wound healing, soft robotics, artificial skin, and more.
Here's some rare photos of fascinating people through history. The two people in Grant Wood's American Gothic existed. This is what they looked like, and they were not a couple. It was the artist's sister and his dentist. This was Margaret Gorman, and she won the first Miss America competition in 1921. This was the first iteration of Ronald McDonald from 1963. This was Stephen Bobrowski, known as Lionel the Lion-Faced Man. He had hypertrichosis, which caused hair to grow up to 8 inches long all over his body. He performed with Barnum and Bailey and spoke 5 different languages. This was George Hackenschmidt, credited with inventing the bench press. This was Conrad Veidt, whose performance in the 1928 film The Man Who Laughs inspired the look for the Joker. This was Daniel Lampert, the world's heaviest person in the 18th century, weighing over 700 pounds, and according to a rumor, possibly fought off a bear by himself. This was Maud Wagner, who was believed to be the first female professional tattoo artist in the United States. This was Selma Burke, who designed the portrait of Franklin Roosevelt, still on the dime today. This is John Smith, and he was reported to be 137 years old at his death, but that's not verified. This is Ralph Lincoln, and he is the 11th generation cousin to Abraham Lincoln. This was Franz Reichelt wearing a homemade parachute suit. He tested it by jumping off the Eiffel Tower in 1912, and it did not deploy.
I think any of us could have told that dude with the parachute suit that wouldn't have worked.
More details have come to light in the case of the author mum who allegedly murdered her husband. Now, this case has just got wild. Curry Richards, who wrote a children's book last year on how they can deal with grief after her husband Eric passed away, has actually been accused of murdering him by lacing a Moscow Mule cocktail with fentanyl last year. It has now come to light that she allegedly attempted to kill him multiple times before this occasion in order to secure his $3.6 million estate. Court documents have shown that Eric had actually previously said to his family, "If anything happens to me, she is to blame," but a family spokesperson said he stayed in the marriage for the sake of their 3 children. Now, according to affidavits obtained by Summit County Sheriff's Office, one of Eric's sisters recalls Eric and Curry were out in Greece on vacation a few years ago. Now, allegedly, Curry made him a drink that made him violently sick. So much so, he actually called his sister back in America to say he believed Curry tried to kill him. And according to records, there was another incident back on Valentine's Day in 2022. Curry allegedly brought Eric a sandwich, and just after one bite, he had a severe allergic reaction. Hives, couldn't breathe, he had to have an EpiPen and Benadryl, and was reportedly out for hours after just one bite. Now, legal documents obtained by DailyMail.com show the twisted legal battle Curry endured just weeks after Eric's death in order to try and secure the family estate. Curry had claimed that all the money left in her late husband's will was rightfully hers, and had accused Eric of trying to defraud her and take legal action by shielding her from their property and their businesses. Now, according to a police warrant at the time, he had expressed concerns that Curry may kill him for money. So without her knowing, he actually handed over his power of attorney and his will to his sister, Katie. Now, Curry was completely unaware of this, so in her mind, on the terms laid out in their prenup when they got married, everything would be divided and pretty much everything would be left to her. When examining Eric's cause of death, the medical examiner said he had an overdose of fentanyl 5 times the lethal amount was found in his system, and it looked like he had also taken it orally. They also added it seemed to be illicit fentanyl, not medical grade fentanyl. An anonymous source had actually come forward to police to claim they had sold Curry $900 worth of fentanyl this year. Then she'd come back for another $900 worth of fentanyl after Valentine's Day. Something's not looking good here. Curry Richards has been arrested on suspicion of his murder and is currently being held in custody. Her first trial date is set for May 19th.
For more on this story, head to dailymail.com.
Breaking news, they have now released the full 911 call in the Bryan Kohberger case. Take a listen.
11:55 a.m. 42 seconds, November 13, 2022.
911 location of your emergency.
Hi, something is happening. Something happened in our house. We don't know what.
What is the address of the emergency?
1122.
What is the rest of the address?
Oh, Kings Road.
Okay. And is that a house or an apartment?
It's a house.
Can you repeat the address to make sure that I have it right?
I'll talk to you guys. We live at the White, so we're next to them.
I need someone to repeat the address for verification.
The address, 1122 King Road.
And what's the phone number that you're calling from?
What's your phone number?
And tell me exactly what's going on.
One of the roommates has passed out, and she was drunk last night, and she's not waking up.
Okay.
Oh, and they saw some man in their house last night. Yeah. Hi, this is.
And are you with the patient? Okay, I need someone to keep the phone, stop passing it around.
Can I just tell you what happened pretty much?
What is going on currently? Is someone passed out right now?
I don't really know, but pretty much at 4 a.m.
Okay, I need to know what's going on right now if someone is passed out. Can you find that out?
Yeah, I'll come. Come on, but we gotta go check. But we have to. Did you pass out? She's not waking up.
Okay, one moment. I'm getting help started that way.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and how old is she?
She's 20.
20, you said?
Yes, 20. Here's one.
Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Okay, I need someone to stop passing the phone around because I've talked to 4 different people.
Okay, sorry, they just gave me the phone.
Is she breathing?
Hello?
Is she breathing?
No.
Okay.
You need to talk to them, okay? I can't talk to them. I need you to talk to them.
Okay. Hello.
Okay. I've already sent the ambulance and law enforcement. Stay on the line. If there is a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
Say that again. There's a police here right now.
Okay. If there's a defibrillator available, send someone to get it now and tell me when you have it.
We don't have one. I think yes. Do you have a defibrillator? Yes, you have one.
Are you talking to the officer?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to let you go since he's there with you and can help you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
To stay up to date on this case, make sure you click the playlist below. I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
My grandma always used to tell me, that nothing good happens between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. She would say those are the devil hours. Do not go out during that time. And, you know, I always tell people, if you don't believe any of this stuff, right, go out after midnight into the woods alone and then tell me what you think. Now, many years ago when I was younger, I had just gotten out of the military and I was kind of adjusting to this regular civilian life. Now, one of the things that helped me is I got into doing outdoor survival. Now, I used to do these 4 to 5 mile backpacking hikes where I would go out sometimes 12:30, 1 o'clock at night and hike in the woods. This particular area that I would hike was along the river. It was like this hill and it was just this heavily wooded area. Now, at the time, right, this area was known to be home to the Peoria Indians. And this is where they hunted. This is where they lived. There's even believed to be this huge burial ground on this area that was never found. So this particular night, I decided to hike this trail called the Pimatui. Now, the Pimatui was an old Native American trail they used to use to get down this hill to the river. So what I would do is I would hike this trail and I would get to this specific spot where there was a stream that cut through the trail. I would then turn right and I would follow this stream through a ravine down to the river. So as I'm hiking the Pimatui Trail, I come to the stream, I turn right, and I start following along down this ravine. I start hearing like music, and it sounded like someone was singing, but it wasn't like a person. It was like one of those old music boxes. And as I kept on walking further and further, like it got a little louder and then a little louder. And that's when I get to the specific spot of this stream where it kind of makes a curve and there's this sharp ravine with 2 steep sides on both sides. And I remember hearing this music like coming from the side of this cliff. And I'm like, what is making that music? Like, where's that coming from? And that's when I see like this opening on the side of the ravine. And, you know, it was probably about this wide. You could, you know, barely crawl through it. And it was some kind of cave or something. So I hiked up to the top of this hill and I started shining my light into this cave. As I look in there, I see the movement of something very large. And I don't exactly know what it was. I can't explain to you what it looked like, but it caused me to like jump back. And at the time I'm thinking, okay, if this is some kind of wild animal, I'm blocking its only exit. So I started making my way back up the ravine and heading away from there. And as I'm walking, I notice like all this movement up ahead in the woods. And I see several deer just booking it through the woods like something had just scared it. And I could hear from behind me some movement coming up through the woods. And there were like branches breaking and, you know, you could hear the crunch of something hitting the leaves. I go a little faster now because I'm kind of nervous. I'm like, what is following me? As I'm, you know, continuing up the ravine, it starts getting closer and closer. And it got to the point where I knew that it was very, very close. So I pull my camera out and I take a picture with the flash on. And when that flash hit, I could see 2 glowing eyes staring at me. So I threw my bag down and I just take off running as fast as I can. I get to the trail, I get out of there. And whatever this was, you know, it broke off and didn't follow me. Later that night, you know, I'm looking at this picture and you could clearly see the 2 eyes. And I'm like, whoa, something was following me, whatever was in that cave. The next day, I hiked back out to this area because I wanted to find this cave again. Except I could not find it anywhere. And I went all the way along that ravine down to the river. There was no cave. And I still, to this day, have no idea what happened that night or what was following me.
Because me personally, I'm never going into a cave or the woods after 9 p.m.
We messed up. Big time. See, this is the Golden Record, a shiny disc filled with information about the human race. Naturally, we shot it into space with the intent for aliens to find it. But was this a bad idea? See, the Golden Record includes some pretty wholesome information about humans. There's pictures of us eating, drinking, pictures of technology we've created, and there's even a photo of an astronaut in space. But here's where it gets creepy. We've also included exact diagrams of our very biology, pretty much teaching aliens precisely how to dismantle us. What's even crazier is we've given aliens details on how to get to Earth, a literal map. So not only have we told aliens exactly what our weaknesses are, we've also told them how to come and find us. Now sure, I get it. The whole thing is really poetic and hopeful. We come in peace and all that. But what if aliens are like us? See, we aren't exactly the most peaceful species. To me, this disc is the cosmic equivalent of posting your address on the internet, giving out your social security number, and then showing a diagram on exactly how easily your legs can break. Not only are we now dead, but it's also entirely our fault. So
yeah, I'm completely with that, dude, because like, why would we ever want to do that? Like, you know, I believe in this thing called like scaling, I guess you could say, where it's like there's always bigger levels to things. For example, me and you right now, we could go up to like an ant nest and just kick it over, destroy the whole ant colony. There's probably an alien species, sad to say it, that could completely do the same thing to us, wipe our whole planet off the map. I'm just being for real. And I feel like the idea of good and bad is with everything in life. So I feel like as there are good alien species out there, I feel like there's also very bad alien species out there.
We can all agree that them Germans were up to no good. Near a small village in Poland lies the biggest, darkest secret from World War II. This is Die Glocke, also known as the Bell, a super top secret project of history's most hated political party. Disclaimer, I am in no way promoting nor glamorizing this evil party. This is simply information and a bit of speculation that exists on the internet. I'm just talking about it. But this highly classified technological device was rumored to be capable of doing things that are just impossible with our current understanding of science, and is said to have been made during one of Germany's biggest development booms in history, a time that German scientists and engineers were pumping out new inventions left and right. Things like night vision goggles, the Volkswagen Beetle, polyurethane, particle board wood, and even Fanta were all made by 1930s Germany. And they obviously also pioneered many weapons, missiles, and military technology that were groundbreaking for their time. A lot of their more classified projects were developed in top secret underground layers, many of which have actually been uncovered. In fact, the US was so impressed with their technical expertise that they even poached a few of their country's top engineers after the end of the war in Operation Paperclip, where incriminating affiliation and war crimes committed by smart individuals were dismissed in order to let them gain citizenship and work in the States, bringing over 1,000 German scientists into the US, some of whom even led to the foundation of NASA, like Wernher von Braun. Now, beyond just impressive weaponry and other technological leaps, the idea of supernatural wonder weapons was also popularized among the German party, with further rumors of them going out to search for ancient sites and artifacts that held secret powers beyond our understanding in the 1930s. Expeditions for the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail, the Spear of Destiny, and many confirmed missions to Antarctica to find who knows what down there. Even a quest to find Atlantis. These guys were obsessed with the occult and the alleged powers of our ancient past. Not surprisingly, they had a bunch of extremely highly classified projects that never saw the public eye, some of which were even revealed decades later, like in 2000, when Polish journalist Igor Witkowski writes about something that catches people's attention in his book Prawda o Wunderwaffe, The Truth of the Wonder Weapon, which he allegedly gathered from private discussions with wartime intelligence officers regarding highly classified documents from World War II. That would be Die Glocke, the Bell, Germany's take on creating their own wonder weapon, using what they've learned from their searches and study of the ancient past. It was shaped like a bell, about 12 to 14 feet tall, with two counter-rotating cylinders inside, filled with a special metallic liquid that was the main source of its power. This liquid was called Serum 525. aka red mercury. And the red mercury rabbit hole is honestly one of my recent favorites. It's pretty wacky, but I might have to dive into that one soon, so watch out for that. When this bell was activated, it would behave as a sort of UFO, moving around without a propulsion system and even being able to create a radius of anti-gravity around it. It would allegedly also create a zone of effect around itself that made blood clot and plants die. Oh, and could also teleport people into different dimensions and travel through time, all in one. Obviously, it was a work in progress, otherwise they probably would have won the war, so we sure dodged that bullet. And this wasn't even the first time that mystical occult practices by this party were exposed. Back in 1960, a book in France was written called Le Matin des Magiciens, The Morning of the Magicians, which also wrote about top secret German research projects from WW2, which involved alchemy, parallel universes, extraterrestrial communications, and time travel. This structure found in Western Poland is all that allegedly stands of Die Glocke to this day, a sort of man-made Stonehenge that would have contained the bell inside of it during testing, also locally known as Muchołapka, Polish for Venus flytrap. What we do know is that this structure was part of the larger German Project Reese, a construction project consisting of many underground structures initiated by the infamous party in this exact region of Poland. And the true purpose of Project Reese remains unclear due to lack of documentation and an abrupt end to it when the war was over. This is also where it's said the bell was initially found before being confiscated by the US for further study, rumored to have been transported to America, where they continued its development with all the scientists they brought over from Operation Paperclip. And many people even insist they actually saw the bell falling from the sky during one of its test runs in the 60s, the Kecksburg UFO incident of 1965, where a giant fireball was seen by hundreds of residents in northeastern USA before crashing in Kecksburg, Pennsylvania. The US military quickly closed off the area during the time of the crash, and it was speculated to have been a test flight of Die Glocke, with many claiming that the craft they saw was bell-shaped, and is why today a bell monument stands on display near the Kecksburg fire station in memory of this incident. But of course, NASA later claimed that it was a Soviet satellite, Cosmos 96, that fell from space, which was the cause of this fireball. Kinda like when they publicly stated the Roswell UFO crash of 1947 was a weather balloon accident, and we found out decades later that was actually a cover story and they lied. But no, don't worry, it's the government. They're definitely telling us the truth this time.
Yeah, they never tell us the truth. At the end of the day, we really don't know what type of technology the government has. Like, apparently I've heard that, like, our military is around 10 to 20 years ahead of what we get, so they could have some of the craziest stuff that we wouldn't even really know.
He slid down the inside of the support pipe after climbing to the top of a water slide in the dark. But it was too narrow for his body to move, and he became trapped inside. He screamed for help until someone finally heard him. Rescuers worked for hours to take apart the slide and reach him, hoping he was alive. But the man had suffocated inside the pipe and died.
To be fair, he did slide down the inside of the support pipe and not the actual water slide, so I can kind of see why he would get stuck.
If you like to barbecue, this is a story of how this hot dog became this woman's nightmare for 6 months. I'm Dr. Sam, and this is New Fear Unlocked, where I tell you interesting medical stories so that you can learn lessons so that the same thing does not happen to you. This is the story of 64-year-old Linda Pelham from Michigan. She took one bite of this hot dog and experienced searing pain down the left side of her throat. As her pain persisted, they went to the emergency department where the doctor performed a scope, but did not find anything, so a CT scan was arranged. 9 days later, 5 days after she presented to the emergency department, Linda woke up because she could no longer swallow or breathe. She was breaking out in cold sweat. She tried to sleep or sitting up. Eventually, she had to go to an urgent care clinic, where the doctor performed an x-ray and found this. This is a metal wire that came from this, the bristle from the grill brush. It was later further confirmed on CT. You would think that her nightmare ended after this, but when she went in to do the surgery to remove this bristle, they could no longer find it, because it had shifted position. So she had to take regular steroid injections to relieve the symptoms, until it was finally removed 6 months later. This was removed from her throat. What was shocking was when they went home, Linda's husband used a magnet to run over the grill and found 30 to 40 of this. So yeah, I wouldn't recommend this. There are safer and cheaper alternatives. To clean your grill, you can heat it up and then use an onion to scrub it. To create a non-stick surface, you can cut a potato in half and rub it over a heated grill. So yeah, now you know. Trouble.
Facts, Part 578. In 1989, 56-year-old Ole Benson laughed so uncontrollably while watching A Fish Called Wanda that he went into cardiac arrest. His heart rate reportedly spiked to over 300 beats per minute before he died at the movie theater. In 1814, a massive vat at a London brewery suddenly burst, sending 300,000 gallons of beer surging through the streets in a devastating flood. The torrent destroyed homes and claimed the lives of 8 people, including 5 mourners who were attending the wake of a little boy who had drowned just a day prior. One of those victims was the boy's mother, who was still holding her child's coffin when her body was found. A woman undergoing pancreatic surgery was accidentally set on fire after alcohol-based sanitizer met an electrical scalpel. Her body ignited in seconds, and she died from severe burns after doctors tried to put her out with a bucket of water. In 2011, a 16-year-old girl from China had been dealing with chronic headaches for years and finally decided to get them checked out. Doctors were shocked to find a fully formed tumor containing hair, bone, and multiple teeth, likely the remnants of a parasitic twin inside of her skull. It had been pressing against her brain tissue, and the headache stopped upon its removal.
Dude, I always felt like laughing was like a good ab workout, but I didn't think it could get your heartbeat up to 300 beats per minute. Like, do you guys even know how insane that is?
These are things that shouldn't be scary, but are part 1. Okay, so planes aren't that scary, unless you're scared of flying or crashing. But have any of you ever seen a sunken plane in the ocean? If you haven't, it's actually extremely creepy. This scuba diver posted a video to the internet of him sitting in a sunken commercial plane. There is just something about this video that's extremely disturbing and scary.
So they're building a house next to us, and I guess when they cleared the field, all the mice and rats scattered, and one of them ended up in our freaking oven. And so I turned it on 450 degrees for 45 minutes, and now our whole house stinks like rat. Burnt rat. I'm hoping dead burnt rat. It's dead.
Dude. Come on, bro. If anyone literally seen the video I made yesterday called TikToks that made me laugh and scream, there was one that jump scared me. I hate jump scares, bro. Like, don't do that, bro. If that jump scare got you, you gotta like the video.
There's another use for hydrogen peroxide, and that's to potentially clean out earwax. However, in this instance, you can see a spider come out the person's ear instead of earwax. And there you see the spider clearly coming out of this person's ear. No wonder they were having hearing problems. Hydrogen peroxide, in this case, removed more than just earwax.
It's a fucking spider.
I told you that would come out.
Oh shit!
That's fucking disgusting. Spider? Oh my god!
I don't necessarily know if that's gonna be a new fare unlocked or if that's just like a fare in general. I don't think that's anything new, dude.
The famous exploding belly. And another reason why I don't smoke. Our case this week is even more famous than Taylor Swift. I'm Dr. Sam, and this is New Fear Unlocked, where I tell you interesting medical stories so that you can learn lessons from them. Mr. A is a 76-year-old gentleman who was in the US at that time. He was working on his television address when he suddenly experienced severe abdominal and chest pain. It got worse and worse over just a few days. So much so he had to take a sedative to numb the pain. Eventually, the pain got so bad that his doctors had to admit him. And that was when they had to tell him the bad news. The biggest artery in his body had burst, and there was nothing that they could do about it anymore. This condition is called an abdominal aorta aneurysm, or AAA. It is not common, affecting only 1 to 3% of people above 60. The good news is most of them are small, but if they do explode, only 20% survive. That is true even now, despite newer technology and methods. So the key really is prevention. Which brings us to Mr. A. Have you already guessed who he is? This is none other than Albert Einstein, who sadly succumbed to AAA in 1955. You see, Einstein was an avid pipe smoker. Smoking is one of the main risk factors for AAA. Also, being male increased his risk by 4 to 6 times, so did being above 65 years of age. So if you need a sign to quit smoking and control your blood pressure, this is it. Thank you, sir. And now you know.
Dude, no way that's how Einstein died. I don't know why I thought he just died from like old age or like cancer or something. Like, that's crazy.
Standing behind these ropes like this is a great way to lose your head or get cut in half. What you guys are looking at in this video are 4 extremely heavy-duty ropes known as mooring lines. These mooring lines are then attached to the ship, and while it's in the harbor, it helps to keep it secure. You might also notice this very unsettling crackling sound coming from the ropes, and this is what makes it so dangerous. This recording is taken from a location known as the snapback zone, and this is extremely deadly. Mooring lines can be under an extreme amount of stress, which on rare occasions will cause them to snap, like the one seen in the photo above me. And when this happens, this can cause the snapped end of the rope to travel around 500 miles per hour. I'm going to show you guys what'll happen if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now, this is obviously in a simulated environment, and this video is slowed down extremely, but look at this. This amount of damage, you're done for in a split second. Now, this isn't to say that by standing here you're automatically dead, but this is not a place that you want to hang out and film. Stay safe and don't get hit with mooring line snapback.
Dude, that's decapitation central. I didn't even know that. Well, that's why we're watching these videos, because now we know.
So a woman went to a dentist to get some teeth removed and died in the parking lot on her way out. Here's what happened. You see, she had developed an infection and she was set to get 18 teeth removed from a dentist office. The problem they ran into is while she was sitting in the chair, even before the dentist came in, her heart rate was at 130 beats per minute. Now, the dentist came in to do the procedure, and the dental assistant was like, hey, look, I'm just waiting for her heart rate to go down. It's at 130 beats per minute. And the dentist looks over and says, we're fine, and begins the procedure. Now, about 16 teeth pulled into this 18 teeth procedure, the heart rate still has not gone down, and at that point, the dentist decides to stop the procedure. The dentist then says to her sister, Crystal, pictured here, hey, you need to get your sister to the hospital. Her heart rate is not going down. She may have a heart problem, and you want to go get that checked out immediately. You see, April relied on an oxygen tank due to the number of respiratory and blood conditions that she had. So Crystal gets her sister, takes her out to the parking lot. They go to get in the car, and her sister, April, just passes out on the ground. Now, Crystal immediately runs back into the office, alerts everybody. The staff runs out, but she says that the staff just kind of stood there rubbing her chest. Nobody performed CPR or anything until the dentist came out, and the dentist yelled at her and said, I told you to take her to the hospital, at which point Crystal replies, I have to get her in the car in order for that to happen. An ambulance was then called and took her to the hospital where she was pronounced dead.
New fear unlocked.
What made it specifically go for her eye, though? Because her head was turned, so it literally deliberately just like... Ew, what is that? Is that huh? Oh, look at the snakes in the back. That's crazy. Oh my god. Also, look at the snake hut.
See this right here? 100% fatality rate. Every motherfucker who ended up in there has died.
This terrifying video comes from Von Outside. I'll tag him below. And he's right, because this is what's known as the death machine. And what you can't see is an 8 to 10 foot wall under the water, which creates a current similar to a washing machine. And you would be lucky to get out alive, because these are the most dangerous types of dams. That's why if you're kayaking, you should always take a friend and carry rope. But in this next clip, you'll see how professionals train for this exact situation. But let me know what you think.
This video shows a childhood fear come to life, as an escalator completely demolishes this pair of shoes in a blink of an eye, and some might even say that escalated quickly. I know we've all thought of this going up the escalator with our parents, but now that irrational fear is not so irrational after all.
Well, I am on the side of TikTok where the guy is out sailing across the Pacific Ocean in his 21-foot sailboat. And I love swimming and I've always loved the water, but this has unlocked a new fear for me. And this man is out on his inflatable paddleboard, paddling away from his boat to the point where you can barely see it. And yes, I know that a lot of people are talking about this because I think we're all sort of in awe of the just unbotheredness of this person. I would be so scared, and I can't even really figure out what exactly it is that I would be so scared of. Like the idea of miles and miles beneath you, of just unknown. And then all around you as well. I think I would be afraid that a monster would come up and nibble on me. And like that doesn't make sense. But I also recently saw a video of a woman out, I think she was in her kayak or small boat, and I think it was a kayak, and there was a pod of orcas just like, hey. And because they are so large and she was so small, and just also fear unlocked. And I love orcas. Like they're possibly one of my favorite animals. I think they're super interesting. But I would be scared shitless if a pod of orcas swam up to me while I was out hanging around, you know, paddling about in the ocean. I don't think deep water is for me. I don't think it is. I think I'm a land bitch now. I am a land bitch. Well, plus, haven't a bunch of people been eaten by sharks recently? Like, yeah, no thank you. No thank you. Anyway, I don't know what you guys are going to be doing this summer, but I will be staying on the land.
From what I've been told, apparently orcas do not go for humans. So if you did see that, you would be chill, apparently. If any of you guys know more about that in the comments, let me know.
New fear unlocked. I sleep in my daily contacts. I don't take them out ever. I haven't taken out my contacts in like 2 months. Tell me why I saw a TikTok today of a lady that lost her sight from showering in her contacts. She said she took them out normally, regularly. She just showered in them and it burned her cornea or something. Okay, I actually don't know what happened, but if I don't take out my contacts to go to sleep, I'm definitely not taking out my contacts to shower. And you're telling me I could lose my eyesight? No.
Dude, I literally never take my contacts out when I shower. That's crazy. Actually, this one time I literally went swimming in contacts. How do you even sleep in your contacts? She said she slept with her contacts in for 2 months. I slept with my contacts in for like a day and my eyes felt like they're about to like themselves, swear to God.
Let's talk about one of the craziest, scariest things to ever happen at a water park. Rake was the world's tallest water slide upon opening on July 10th of 2014 at a whopping 168 feet and 7 inches at Slitterbend, Kansas City. This ride went up to 70 miles per hour and went on to be nothing short of a horrific nightmare. Park owners Jeff Henry and John Shuley would build this ride themselves. After initial attempts to pitch it failed, safety owners warned the owners about the dangers of the ride, calling it unsafe, but that didn't stop them. John was quoted saying, "We were crazy enough to try anything." This brings us to August 7th, 2016. 10-year-old Caleb Swab and his family come to the park, and Caleb eventually makes his way to the top of Rake. Caleb takes a seat on the front of the ride with 2 women behind him. So Caleb's raft starts down the hill and makes it to the second hump, and when it does, the raft goes airborne and Caleb strikes the metal support, which decapitates him. Caleb's brother was waiting at the bottom and he watches in horror as all this takes place. Both of the women riding on the raft with him were also injured. One of them had a broken jaw, the other one had a facial bone fracture and needed stitches. The park closed down, but opened 3 days later. Both owners were arrested, but charges would be dropped due to inadmissible evidence. And in November of 2018, the park began dismantling Rake.
The fact that his brother and family saw that live makes it even worse. That's actually horrifying.
Don't pull him down! Don't pull him down!
He's gonna kill you.
Don't pull
He's
him
gonna kill them
down!
both.
On June 25th of 2018, near the Niagara River in Buffalo, New York, 2 men were trying to collect a piece of driftwood in the water. Apparently, for a project they were working on, So they devised a plan where one would hold onto a piece of rope while the other dove in to retrieve it. But once in the water, the rope was too short, so he let go momentarily. But what he didn't know is that there was a current that he couldn't see, and this is called an eddy current. And it works almost like a whirlpool, because as the river passes by this ledge, it creates a circular motion, and anything that doesn't float goes down. They quickly garnered an audience, and bystanders caught the entire thing on video, while also trying to find things to pull them out with. Here's a clip of that encounter. Take a look.
This is definitely gonna be a YouTube moment.
Hold on to it. Hold on to it. Yeah. Now turn it back, turn it back. And doggy paddle back. Under. I got it. Doggy paddle. I got it. Doggy paddle back to me. You start frowning, you're making me do this shit. Come on. Come on. Doggy paddle. Oh shit!
Grab the wood, dude. Grab the wood.
You can see, as he desperately tries to stay afloat, he begins to panic. His friend recognizes this and jumps in to save him, but this would only make things worse.
He's gonna try to kill you.
Don't pull him down! Don't pull him down!
He's gonna kill you.
Don't
He's
pull
gonna
him
kill them
down.
both.
Don't pull him down! Just hold on!
Don't let him get out there, cause that current gonna take his ass.
Fucking stick or something?
He's gonna die in there.
Oh, they both. Come on! Hurry up! Hurry up! Hurry up! Grab the stick!
Come on.
Grab the stick!
Yo, make sure I don't fall in the water, bro. Man, I got you.
This is where I need to cut the video, but in the final frame, you can see them both sinking to the bottom. Their bodies were recovered shortly after, and a local news story was aired about this very incident.
Mel, I'm here at the corner, the foot of Ferry, rather, where Vader and Guthrie lost their lives. You can see the very strong rapids behind me, but where they first went into the water right here appears calm. At the surface, you can't see those rushing rapids. You can't see strong waves. You can see that it might appear calm, but of course it's not, because underneath the water's surface, as we found out yesterday, is a lot of danger.
But what's even more disturbing is that this news team unknowingly recorded what looks to be the very log the two men were trying to get. And it serves as an important reminder to never underestimate the water. And if you were ever to see a sign like this, don't go near.
Dude, that's crazy. That one kind of makes me a little bit upset because bro was recording him just like, oh yeah, they gonna die in there. I'm like, dude, like call the ambulance or something, dude. Like hop off the phone, bro. And I'm an influencer and I'm saying that. To be fair, the other friend wasn't a lifeguard and he was definitely trying his best to save his other friend. But it's lifeguard 101. When someone is in trouble in the water, do not jump in trying to save them. That's the worst thing you're gonna do because they're gonna try to grab you to hold on to you to stay afloat and then you're gonna sink. I don't know. That was just an all-around bad situation. If you made it this far in the video, remember to subscribe. The most dangerous part of exploring is the cops. The lowest falling. Actually, it's the homeless. Still water. When I was reading the comments in that video, it said that still water can lead to scarlet rot really quickly. You know what? Let's look at a video of what still water does.
Still water is one of the most dangerous things you can come across when you're exploring. If you've been on TikTok recently, you have seen this video where someone throws a branch and right here, that's all water. It doesn't look like it's underwater at first in the video and it's kind of easier to tell in the picture, but it is extremely dangerous. Still water can be filled with bacteria and lots of other things. And the worst part about it is sometimes in the dark, with just a quick glance of the flashlight, you may not notice that it's there. And when you go in, it could be cold and it could be deeper than you expect. And if nothing's moved and there's no current, nothing's touched, things could be eroded down below. Like that, those stairs, as soon as you step on them, they could collapse under the water and you have no idea, especially if it's a wooden structure, what's gonna happen until you get there. So that is why still water is so dangerous. when exploring, and people weren't understanding, and like the search is Stillwater explained, and that's just why. It's extremely dangerous, and you have to be...
Excuse me, can I go first? Okay. Thank you.
Wait. What the I don't know what's going on too.
This guy went down a slide that was flooded at the bottom. So there's this scary video of a guy going down a slide that is flooded with water at the bottom. Now at the end of the video, he actually continues down into the water and the video ends. So what happened to him? Well, according to the comments, the guy was okay after this. He just found a flooded playground and wanted to go down one of the slides. I have no idea why. But many people that saw the video thought that he was at a water park and the slide flooded while he was in the middle of sliding down it. So that question made me think, what would happen if you were in a water slide and it decided to flood midway down your slide? Now, as far as I know, there's never been a recorded incident of a water slide actually flooding mid-slide. But there have been things like this woman who got stuck mid-slide while she was sliding on a water slide that was hanging off the side of a cruise ship. I would never, ever do that. And the way that she got out of this is probably the same way that you would get out of a flooded water slide. You see, many water slides are built with hidden doors like this. So if anything ever goes wrong, you're able to push these doors open and safely make an exit.
Dude, a water slide hanging off a cruise ship? I'm thinking like if she does end up getting stuck, God forbid. Nah, she actually did get stuck, but she managed to like actually slid her leg, you know what I'm saying? But if she really did get stuck and then she couldn't do that, like how would they get her out? Because it's hanging off of a cruise ship. There's no like little ledge where you could just open the door like, hey, without falling into the ocean. Dude, he was so clueless. But nah, that is trippy because the door literally opened and then all of a sudden it's moving. I mean, wouldn't he feel it going down? Yo, that could have easily crushed him, dude.
If you were in a plane during a world threat tsunami, you were quite literally the most dead human on Earth. You're more dead than the people that died in the actual tsunami. Think about this, right? You get on a plane to go see your Aunt Carol. Your Aunt Carol lives in Texas and you live in Oregon, right? You go down to Texas, or you flying down to Texas, you fall asleep, you wake up, and the world is just covered in water. What do? Nothing. You are quite literally just dead. You're as good as dead. Now, if there's not a world threat tsunami and just like, let's say the United States, right, flooded, like everything flooded, you had to land in another country. Your plane might not have enough fuel for that. So unless your plane does have the fuel for that, you know, I mean, you're screwed. I mean, unless you have a parachute, but even then you're just jumping into water. So yeah, imagine like you're in a plane and the world just flooding. Like you're just screwed. Like you're just so screwed.
This lady got her foot trapped in a moving walkway. For any of you guys that used to jump over the last little part of the moving walkway or an escalator as a kid, you guys might be onto something. This happened in 2023 in a Thailand airport, and she actually had to have her leg amputated at the airport for this. She was a 57-year-old Thai woman. She was supposed to go to Hong Kong. However, this did not happen. Obviously, she got her leg amputated at Terminal 2 walkway. As you can see in the photo right here, it looks like these two yellow protector things here maybe broke off, and maybe that's what actually led to her foot going into it. Because obviously there has to be some protection, you know? Or maybe it wasn't just protected well enough, it wasn't strong enough, and her foot went under it and broke those things off. Now, I'm also curious on whether or not the airport took care of all of her medical costs and took care of her after. Because if they caused this woman's injury, that's just gross negligence by them, and now she doesn't have a leg. Now luckily she didn't die from this, but losing your leg is no small thing. If this video is going to have you jumping over the last step for escalators and walking terminals, don't worry, I'm with you on that too. Let me know your thoughts on this story, guys. Is this your biggest fear now? Did I unlock something?
So ironic how that happened in an airport. Dude, when I was a kid, I remember I was going somewhere. I don't remember really where. And I had a suitcase with me. And I remember I was going up the escalator, and then the last part came off. I just dropped the suitcase and jumped off the escalator. Not jumped off it, but like jumped over that last part. I don't know what it is about those, but those things will get you caught up, dude. I feel like you have a higher chance of dying on an escalator than like in an elevator. If you guys made it this far in the video, remember to like and subscribe. I'm starting a bunch of new series, a bunch of different TikTok ideas. A couple of vlog videos are also coming out. So this is going to be a very big explosion for my channel. So if you want to stick around for the journey, subscribe. Remember to like this video, and I'll see you on the next one, man.
Thank you all for watching this here video.